1941, a state of war.
What General Vagon had called the Battle of France was over. The Battle of Britain is about to begin.
We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills.
This is my new B&Z 44 Russian captured German K98K. I just got this one off of Gun4. I paid $600 shipped for it, which by today's standards is actually pretty good, especially for a harder to find factory code like that. B&Z 44 large font would have been made at Steyr in Austria. And that rear band is on backwards. That's how I received it, but I'll get that flipped around here later in the footage. It is a Russian capture. And that basically means that it was either captured in battle or surrendered at the end of World War II to the Russians. And what they'd do with these is they would re-blue them, they would put shellac on the stock, and they would renumber the parts to match, mostly just the bolt to match the receiver and barrel. So you can see there it's got a trigger guard that's either a very late trigger guard without the capture screws in it, or it's a trigger guard off of another type of Mauser, which the Russians captured a ton of different Mausers during World War II, so it wouldn't surprise me either. But it's basically a hodgepodge of parts. It's a very early O-block, so that's probably late 1944. Then you've got your Waffen-Amp there, and then you've got your Russian X. So when the Russians captured these things, they would routinely put an X on either the receiver or, more uncommonly, on the barrel like this one has. Doesn't really add value at all, but it's something you see on a lot of Russian captures. You can see the electro penciling where they match the bolt to the receiver. And so they would take these things and basically toss the parts in different bins, after bluing the rifles, including bluing the butt plates, which is not something the Germans did. It originally would have been in the white. But they would have put the rifles back together, and obviously the parts were all mixed up, so these rifles, other than the barrels and receivers, are pretty much a bunch of different rifles. So like that front band on there, that is a late stamped band versus the rear band, which is a milled, which is from probably an earlier rifle. But pretty cool pieces of history, because, you know, the different parts on there, maybe one part of that gun had been at the Siege of Leningrad, or another part had been at the Battle of Stalingrad, or been in the Battle of Berlin, or the Battle of Moscow, or Battle of Kursk, or any of these other major battles. There's a very high probability that some part of that gun was there. And the bottom gun is a DOT 1944. This one is presumably, I don't have bring back papers, but we can presume it's a bring back because it's all matching. Put this camera down for a second so you can see the bluing difference between the Russian re-blue and an original German bluing. But originally that B&Z 44, being a Russian capture, would have had shellac covering the stock, and someone removed the shellac on there, which personally I would have left it, but you know, it's a pretty stock. It's a nice red glue laminate. Got a stamped floor plate on the DOT, and then you can see that's a milled there. But yeah, they're really neat pieces of history, and they're still out there to be had. You can still get them for around $500 to $700. Of course, depending on what code they are. You know, like B&Z 44 large fonts are not growing on trees. They're pretty hard to find, and I've always wanted one, but you know, if I wanted to get a bring back or one that was all matching, I'd probably be spending $2,500, $3,000 to get one. So when I saw that Russian capture for $600, I grabbed it, because while it's not a bring back, it's still a part of Eastern Front World War II history, which is neat. And I got it for a whole lot less than if I had found a bring back. Which brings me to my next point. A lot of people kind of look down, or used to look down, on Russian captures. And, you know, when I was just getting into collecting, for me, you know, a kid at that time, $250, $300 is a lot of money, let alone $1,000 to get a matching bringback. And of course, matching bringbacks or matching rifles without import markings in good shape are bringing $2,500 these days, $2,000 plus. So $250, $300 didn't sound that bad back then. And to get a Nazi-marked German K98 for $600 today compared to spending $2,000 is still not a bad deal. So they're out there. They're an 8mm. You just got to look. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be getting a new list of stuff up here next week. I'm sorry it's taken me a while. I did finally get some inventory in, so I'll be getting that up shortly. But I did want to share that with you because I had the time, and why not? Click that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Click the like button. I really appreciate that. If you click the like button, it helps push people to the channel, and we'll talk to some of you guys soon.